1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 71. I am extremely jet lagged because I just got back from France, which is our first topic. But yeah, today we're doubling
our first
up.
Topic for today is jet lag.
No, our first topic for today is France. No, we're doubling up on topics again. We have nothing planned for segment 2, so it's topic segment 1, a little bit of media in the middle, and then topic segment 3. I thought that's what you said. You're giving me a weird look.
So it's not that we've not got enough content, because I've actually got like another primo new special game. But because so many things have happened, we've got more topics for segment 3 because
yeah. Well, we'll see how
packed one.
We'll see how segment 1 treats us, and if if we're moving along at a decent clip, then maybe we'll have time for your new game.
Oh my.
But yeah, so I've been traveling for the first time in almost 2 years. And as it... What? What did you just
That wasn't
do?
you. I just almost choked on my coffee, sorry. I'm a bit ill still. You can probably hear it in my voice.
But yeah, I've been... God, it's been so long. I used to travel quite a bit, internationally quite a bit too, and ever since this all started... it just obviously shut down. And it was so weird trying to like piece together like everything that I needed again. Like I used to be able to pack a suitcase in like a couple hours and I knew everything I needed. This time it took me like half a day to remember everything I needed. And I still forgot the charger converter because the people in Europe use that weirdo 2-prong thing.
3-pronged.
Well, no, that's the Australian. Yeah, you guys have the thick prongs. The British are compensating for something. No, it was a lot of fun. But it turns out that I think I just barely slipped in because they're introducing all
the plug
kinds.
Socket?
No. Into traveling because there's all kinds of new restrictions that were being put in place as I was on my way home. Because they're all worried about this new, less deadly coronavirus.
South African strain.
Yeah. The Omicron, which, by the way, sounds like a fucking Transformer.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
It's like, oh, I've come down with Megatron. Like, what
the... yeah. God, just whenever I hear, like, the Greek alphabet, I think of either Red Rising or Transformers.
There was, that was something that I noticed as a difference, and maybe this is just continental Europe, or maybe it's just the French. Oh, apparently where I was going for work over there, it was in the Alps. So I drove, because I didn't drive the whole way.
Well, you like it cold as well, don't you?
Yeah, I did. So I was up in the mountains, and it was chilly and rainy and snowy the whole time, and it was amazing. Also, I got to drive a car with a manual transmission because they drive on the same side of the roads as us, unlike you people.
With a manual transition? How's that got to do with what?
Car driving.
Yeah. But
it's fun to drive. I that's my preferred.
Do you normally drive an automatic?
No. My car is manual, but most people in the U.S. drive automatic. It's something like, I think...
Automatic is a lot more fun, but yeah, pretty much everyone here has manual.
Yeah. It's much, much more common in Europe than it is in the US. I think in the US it's something like 10 to 15% of people drive manual, and it might be lower than that. That's the statistics when I started driving back in 2004 or whenever. So it's probably different now. I'm all over the place, but up in the Alps, beautiful mountain like vistas. Like the first
Did you
day,
take any photos?
I did, and I will. I'll send you some pictures of them later. But
Nice.
Mont Blanc, the highest mountain in Europe, was literally like I could see it from like out the window.
I'm surprised that hasn't been renamed. Honestly,
What?
White Mountain.
It was quite apropos. The mountain was very white.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, you were saying.
This was also one of the more awkward trips for me because, like other places I go, I typically speak a bit of the language, Like if I go to a country where they speak Spanish, I'm good. If I go to a country where they speak German, I can work my way through. Obviously, if they speak English, I'm good. French, haven't got a fucking clue. I could barely remember.
Here
sorry.
Has seen the Amnesia playthrough, you'll know how bad Kaiser is with French. Like, I don't speak French, but I know a fucking whole language more than him, apparently.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like a lot of it is in the pronunciation, though, to be fair.
Yeah, and normally that's where I'm good. You'll notice I said Mont Blanc instead of Mont Blanc.
Yeah. Like, you love how much you love saying Les Miserables instead of Les Miserables.
I was legitimately watching that movie on the flight home.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't have internet, and I had it downloaded to my tablet, and it just seemed very appropriate.
I was on a semi-long trip the other day on the train, and they've started doing free movies now.
Oh, nice. I imagine they're having to find ways to entice people back to, like, public transport. Although, flights, I noticed, so I flew business class because it was work that I was over there for. And normally, like, business class, they would give you free Wi-Fi. Or they did back in 2019, 2020 when I was flying regularly. Now, even in business class, they're charging you for Wi-Fi.
Really? Isn't business class, like, so fucking expensive anyway?
Yeah. Yeah. The ticket, and I won't say it on the podcast, but the ticket was several $1,000s.
Yeah. No, I remember how much you said, and it was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Part of the reason this particular ticket was so expensive is because they put me through 3 connecting flights instead of... Because I was going to a small area in South France, up in the Alps, where if I was going to somewhere like more metropolitan, like Paris or London or, somewhere in Germany, I probably would have gotten a ticket for a lot less. But it was still... Actually, it's still much more expensive than it used to be.
To be fair, I can kind of... The airports, much like most businesses during the pandemic, have probably been nosediving in their profits, so I guess they need something to pick them up.
And that's what I was thinking, because I remember logging in, and they give you messaging for free. But if you want to actually use Wi-Fi for anything else, then I think on the flight out on Delta it was like, I don't know, like $5 to $10, depending on what internet you wanted. Probably the worst offender. I don't, nothing against them. I actually really, really like KLM, the Dutch Royal Airlines, but they had the most expensive Wi-Fi. I think it was like €9 to have it for 4 hours of the flight, and it was an 8-hour flight.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say an hour. I was like...
Well, they gave you the free messaging Wi-Fi, but that was only for an hour.
Right.
So I was able to get...
tease you, to pull you in a
little tease. It's like, come on, you already paid...
That gateway drug.
You already paid a few grand for the flight. You can pay €9 for the fucking Wi-Fi.
Right. Yes.
But they do give, these little porcelain houses, so I guess it all works out.
I mean, I'm sure that making that probably would have cost about the same...
I mean, if you were to see this in like a knick-knack shop, it probably would have been about €9.
Yeah.
Wait, there's something in this.
That's why I think that's a stopper. The chimney is a stopper, I think, mate.
Yeah, I hear there's a fluid in this.
Yeah.
The one I had before didn't have anything in it. Oh, so speaking of fluid, another lost in translation moment. So France, you think like things that they're do very well, food, right? And I did go to a restaurant and had like an absolutely amazing. It was like leg of lamb in this raisin and almond sauce, and it was just, it was delicious.
It sounds very fancy.
A plate of weird cheese, which of course I had to get that because I was in France. But the restaurant at the hotel was awful. Like, I ordered like some kind of, it was basically like a beef tenderloin, and tender is the furthest thing that this like particular chunk of meat was. It was like, I felt like I was chewing rubber. It was bad. And so, but I think that the food service portion of the hotel itself was beautiful. The one I stayed in, like big, thick, old, dark wood doors, like big, comfortable bed, like a lot of amenities throughout the hotel. The gym was a joke. It was a treadmill and an elliptical and a tiny room in the back but the restaurant was bad. I went to the bar, right, and I ordered a martini, right?
Yeah.
Now, just off the top of your head, what goes into a martini?
An olive. I don't actually know. I don't think I've ever actually had a martini. Weirdly enough,
I get the urge for
I
them
know what
every
it
now
looks
and again.
like. I just don't. I haven't really had them. I assume I don't know. It's got kind of white wine vibes, although I'm sure that's not what goes into it.
You've actually identified part of the ingredients. So it's vermouth, which is a type of wine.
Okay.
It's like you make vermouth the same sort of way that you make wine, and somebody's going to get mad at me about that because that's not entirely accurate. But a martini is...
Ooh, a late little paper parasol.
No, that does not go into it. A martini is typically gin or vodka, vermouth, right, either sweet or dry, and then olive. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to assume that this bartender wasn't completely incompetent and it was just a translation issue. But I ordered a martini, and what he gave me was a glass full of vermouth with a lime.
With a lime?
Oh, sorry, a lemon.
I mean, still.
The thing is, the brand of vermouth is called Martini. So he just poured a glass of vermouth.
Fair. What the he's probably just new.
Well, yeah, it was either... Yeah, he's either new or... Yeah, there's a different thing you call it in French, maybe.
Also, I can kind of imagine... Like, I think it's kind of fair that they didn't have a big gym in there. Because, I mean, you're on the Alps.
Yeah,
I feel like getting anywhere is a fucking workout.
But they did have a giant, little arrangement.
A giant little?
Sorry. A little arrangement,
Okay.
but giant in terms of proportional size. A little display case of Grey Goose, because it's French. But, yeah, I think they probably had one gin. I don't know.
I mean, when you go to France, you should really be drinking wine.
And that's what I did. I had wine with dinner. But and the wine was quite good. But yeah, and like I was saying, oh God, driving in this small town. I gotta say this too. So I've been to France. Is probably the third most chaotic place to drive I've ever been. On highways, it was fine, but when you actually get into the city. What?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say in the Alps.
Where you actually get into the small town street driving. The first two chaotic places on my list are India and Dominican Republic, and they basically just make up their own traffic rules. The French are only one step past that, where they actually the way driving in a city felt to me for France was like everyone just made up their own rules, and then some bureaucrat tried to codify that into law. They tried to take the chaos and make it the law.
France is a bit of a funny one. I feel like a lot of the people who live in France just fucking hate the government and will just that's why there's so much goddamn protests all the time in France. Did you see any, by the way?
I didn't where I was, because I was, again, up in the Alps.
I feel like it's become a tourist attraction.
But several people were talking about it, while I was over there. I was talking to people, to locals, and they were saying, oh, yeah, right outside my window, there's a protest every Friday or something like that.
They got a club. Yes. They go, oh, what are we protesting today?
Is it gas prices? Is it COVID? What?
Fish and chips. Right or wrong? Should we be eating horse meat?
Pineapple on pizza. Fuck it. Let's go.
Brilliant.
The way I
we don't
described
want to get too serious here, Kaiser. That's going a bit far.
I was thinking about... So I actually, before I left on the trip, because Thanksgiving obviously happened a couple weeks back, and when I was talking to my family, we were talking about the trip, and there were travel advisories for the U.S. going into France.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to do with any diseases like most people are concerned about now. It was actually because they were still rioting. And like the way I described it to my family is like, yeah, here you might have a protest, people might complain and shout. No, when the French don't like something, they have a riot. It's just that they just decide to.
I think these days in America, I feel like over the last year, America's had so many fucking protests and riots and shit that I think people are getting kind of bored of it. I don't think France ever got bored of it.
Oh, no. France has been doing it since the 1800s. Probably before that. I think, actually, they've probably been doing it since the 1600s.
Since Les Mis.
Whenever Napoleon came in, because no, that would be the 1800s, yeah.
I just said something, and I just suddenly thought, do you guys eat horse meat in America?
Rarely.
Okay, because it is not legal in the UK.
Oh, it's not legal? Okay.
Yeah, so there was a big blow-up a few years back, probably more than a few years back now, where it turned out that a certain supermarket was selling a lasagna, specifically lasagna, with horse meat in it. And God, people were fucking outraged. But yeah, famously, France has always been fine with it because...
Well, France did eat... And, I mean, I had foie gras on the flight over.
Right.
Which, that's something that people get pissed off.
Isn't that duck?
It's fattened duck liver, but the reason that it's controversial is the way they fatten the duck is they basically put a funnel in its throat and overfeed it.
Ooh. I think we do have that in England. I could be wrong.
It's delicious, but it's just the same way that what is it? Veal is kind of a controversial meat because it's baby cow, and they specifically prevent the cow from moving around too much, so that it's more tender when they make the meat.
I think the specific reason though that the UK greatly dislikes horse meat though is because after World War One, I don't know if you know about this. After World War One, we brought everyone back into England, but we couldn't really afford to bring all the horses back. So we left the horses in France.
And the French ate them?
The horses that were fighting for us in the war...
got eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's food at the end of the day, I guess, but...
I said I had lamb when I was over there. My mother doesn't really like eating lamb because when she was a kid, she raised lambs. And she actually had a baby lamb that they had to slaughter for food. So,
same with my mum. Actually, she saw I think it was calves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so growing up, me, my brother, we never ate beef, and
that's a tragedy.
We didn't really eat lamb either. We've got kind of quite a rural side to our family. And so when we went there, it was okay to eat these things because we knew that they'd been raised properly and stuff like that. But the treatment of some animals, not great. So that's why we didn't eat much.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't have as much of a problem about it. I've always... I think because my mother was raised on a farm and she brought me up with a similar mindset, even though I wasn't. I've never had that weird disconnect between what I'm eating and where it comes from. I'm well aware, I love eating meat, and I'm well aware of the animals that meat comes from. It's never been something that's kind of put out of my mind. I know when I'm having bacon, I'm like, that's a pig. Also,
it's weird.
What the fuck is with Europeans and undercooking bacon? Every morning, I got bacon. So, first of all, you know what breakfast was for 19 euros? You know what breakfast was in France?
Hang on, how much is 19 euros in dollars?
In dollars, it's $21.
Fucking hell, that's expensive. That's really expensive.
Yeah, and you know what that came with?
What, drink wise?
No, just that was breakfast. So it was,
what breakfast was? Okay, go on.
It was a bowl of bread, some preserves, tea or coffee, and a newspaper.
That's atrocious.
Yeah. It was fucking obnoxious. It was extra. I got bacon and eggs because that was not what I wanted for breakfast. I got bacon and eggs, and that was an extra €5.
You got fucking scammed.
Well, I mean, I didn't pay for it. The work paid for it.
True.
I was on a business trip. That's the, like, I would have been more pissed about it if it was something that, like, I was paying for myself. But I also probably could have gotten much better deals if I were eating at, like, local restaurants, but this area of France, few people spoke English, and the people who did spoke it in a very, very broken manner.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to get by.
That's weird, because, like, everyone... It's going to sound weird. I play Heroes of the Storm exclusively with French people. Don't ask why. Just happened that way.
The hotel should have hired them.
All speak English.
To be fair, everyone in the hotel spoke it reasonably well.
Yeah.
Except for one of the bartenders. Like one night, I wasn't even trying to order anything complicated. I just asked for a Heineken. I asked for a Heineken and I asked for a steak, and that communication.
These Americans, son, cultured.
First of all, it was a woman, so she didn't sound like that.
She can sound like that if she wants to, Kaiser.
She takes out the Frenchman voice. Oh, God. No, sorry, I completely lost track of what I was talking about now. But
I had a Heineken and a steak.
Yeah, no, that was, but I mean, before we got onto the, food in general. Yeah, breakfast. But yeah, the bacon, it was pink. Like, what the fuck was this? Like... You're supposed to... I know it's cured, so it's not bad to eat it, like, undercooked, but... I want some crispiness to my bacon. Fry it.
I thought you were going to say, because there's, like, two main kinds of bacon, right? There's crispy bacon, there's streaky bacon. Sorry, there's back bacon, which is back like bacon, a bit thicker, I think.
Yeah, we call it, back bacon is, we call it Canadian bacon here.
Right, okay. Yeah, but... I don't know if you guys have... Do you guys have, like, streaky bacon over there? I assume you do.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of an American thing, actually.
I mean, it's... We just call it bacon. Like, okay, because streaky bacon is the default here.
Yeah, that tends to be a bit, like, thinner. It's a bit more... It's less of a... I don't know. Less to chew through.
Yeah, I mean, back bacon is closer to ham. Which... And I can understand that being a little bit less cooked because it is more cured and stuff. But...
Yeah.
No, this was just like what you called streaky bacon, but pink.
Right, yeah, no, that's not normal. Yeah. It sounds like you just were a bit of a shit hotel.
Like, again, and I want to emphasize this, the hotel was awesome. The food at the hotel was ass.
Yeah.
And even the amenities, like, the hotel had a nice gym, the lounge and the bar.
It was tiny.
It was tiny, but... It was big for Europe. I've been at a lot of...
the bartender got your drink wrong.
Yeah, but I think that was a translation issue. Everything else, like the wine was good. I had a glass of whiskey one night when I was there.
Okay.
I had, they understood Heineken.
Good.
But again, it was kind of like it was one of the nicer hotels in the area. We did go out to a restaurant one night when I was there. Luckily, it was one night when my coworker was there, and she lives in Paris. So she was fortunately there and speaking French. Oh, that reminds me. The French have an app that you have to scan when you go into restaurants because they're
COVID stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
we kind of do.
Yeah, well, we don't. I actually had to dig it out for this trip, but they gave us this, like, flimsy little card that's like, hey, by the way, this guy got a shot. And so I had that with me. So we went into the restaurant. She was like, oh, yeah, we need to scan you coming in. And so my coworker's like, oh, yeah. And then I was like, I just have this. And I could understand bits and pieces of what she was saying, but it was essentially like, yeah, he's American. He has, he just has the card. Or he doesn't have the app. And so the lady just looked at it and was like, oh, okay, yeah. But from what my coworkers were telling me is restaurants are getting really, really lazy about scanning those things. It's one of those things that the government requires, but no one gives a shit about.
Oh, over here they give a shit about. Although, to be fair, we've kind of taken away the whole having to do that now. So we have the NHS app.
Yeah, we never had to do that in the US.
Right. So yes, the National Health Service released an app where when you go to a restaurant, there's a QR code in every restaurant, and you buzz it, and then if someone at the restaurant gets COVID, it pings everyone else who's in the restaurant at that time and says, look, you gotta isolate now. But I don't think you actually have to do that anymore. Haven't had for a while. But we've just had because of the South African thing, we are now having to wear masks out again. So.
All right. Just one little bit of positive news about all of this. Just because I feel like I need to go on like a mini COVID rant, and because I called this more than a year ago, and still right about it. The way viruses tend to behave is as they move through a population and as they mutate, they tend to get less and less and less dangerous. And sure enough, that's exactly the pattern this one's followed. So Omicron is like the least deadly one so far.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I heard the South African one has been pretty bad.
It's contagious, and don't get me wrong, it's still like even the flu can kill you, and it's still like mildly more dangerous than the flu, even in its most in its newest iteration. But compared to the first virus that went through back in early 2020, that one was actually significantly more deadly than the flu. The one we're on now is barely more it's practically indistinguishable in terms of how dangerous it actually is.
As someone who knows absolutely nothing about medical science, I entirely admit my opinion.
Yeah, and I to be honest, I probably shouldn't have said anything because I don't know. Back to
Do
France.
your own research, people.
Yeah, exactly. Don't believe me. I'm just some random dude on the internet.
France.
Oh, also kilometers.
Yeah.
Took me I
Did you rack up some good Pokemon Go points?
I did actually go on Pokemon Go. Oh, the park across the street from the hotel, there was a big concrete penis.
Yeah?
I don't know what it was because it was some museum piece, but it was all in French. It was, and I'm being facetious, but it was 100-meter tall concrete tower. Yeah. And there was apparently it's some historical thing, and there was a bunch of stuff talking about how it has foundations that go deep below the park and everything like that. But it was all in French, so I have no idea what it said. Right next to it was a World War II memorial. And I guess it's different than the ones I'm used to seeing, because you see a World War II memorial in the UK and it's about how we beat the Nazis. The same thing in the US, right?
Sure.
But in France, it was about how it was the date the town was liberated from the Nazis. And I was like, oh yeah, because they actually got invaded. So it was just that was kind of interesting to me because it's not what you're used to seeing in the English-speaking world.
I guess not, no. No, I was just gonna say briefly. The reason I knew you'd been using Pokemon Go, because I was over in Bristol, and me and Alicia were sitting at lunch, and I was just waiting for the food to come out. And I was like, wow. You didn't send me a gift, but Kaiser remembered to. He's in a different country.
Yeah, it was. So I think it was Friday, and I was just. I wanted to get out of the hotel.
See the sights. Yeah.
We only had a half work day on Friday, and that was planned. So. After I dropped my coworker off at the train station, and one last thing I want to say about driving, by the way, in France, there are two things you have to remember, or that I had to hammer into my own brain when driving there. Was one, bikes and pedestrians will just walk out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to watch out for them. And two, about 2 inches is the appropriate distance between you and the car next to you. I remember...
They're quite an angry people, the French, yeah.
It was just like... I had... like, a smart car squeezed between... He just made his own lane in between two of us. Also, bus lanes just show up out of nowhere. And also, bus lanes are half the size of a normal lane here in the US.
That's true. To be fair, though, I think that's just a US thing where you have such big fucking roads.
That is. I noticed that in the UK too. You guys do have much narrower roads. I mean, you saw it when I tried to park that fucking behemoth of a car they gave me.
Yeah, that was a massive car for these roads.
Oh, but anyway,
I saw you coming a fucking mile off.
But that day I decided to take a walk, through the city, see the sights. There was a giant like Bastille up on the like cliffside outside of the town. I was in Grenoble, and like just this ancient castle just looming over the town, and just a lot of cool stuff. But that was when I was playing Pokemon Go. Was when I was wandering through the park and doing that. I did notice, however, because I went to a grocery store because the hotel restaurant didn't open up. It was open for breakfast and dinner didn't start until 7.
Right.
So I got hungry in the middle of the day, so I went to find a supermarket, pick up some snacks and whatever. And so I went in there and I got like big bottle of water, 2 of them, a beer, and a bag of chips. Right? Actually, no, it wasn't chips. It was like some kind of cheese snack thing. I couldn't read it. It was in French. I get to the checkout. The French don't have bags. Not even to buy.
What?
Like, you're expected to either bring a backpack or bring your own bag.
Oh.
Because, I don't know, environmentalists have gotten all the bags or something like that. And so I'm walking back to the hotel, trying desperately, like I shoved the beer in my coat pocket, and I have the chips in one hand, and I'm holding like the big bottles of water, and I'm walking back to the hotel like that for like 2 blocks.
Not too bad.
It wasn't too bad. It would have been worse if I actually bought something substantial. Like, luckily I only had like 3 or 4 items, so it was I could do it, but. If I had checked out with a lot of stuff and just like been standing there with my dick in my hand, like what the fuck do I do?
Do you not have a bag for that?
Oh God. Anyway,
so you enjoyed your time?
I did, and it turns out because of the whole Omicron thing, they're not closing down, but making travel more restrictive. Also, I had to sign about 18 different forms. So I showed the card. It was like, yes, I have the vaccine, and then they made me sign a form saying that I didn't have a fever or chills or anything like that. And then when I got to Europe, they made me sign another form that said the exact same thing, but plus that I hadn't been in contact with random people. And then on the way back, they made me sign another form and then asked me for like a negative test, and I'm like, where the fuck was I going to get a test? I've been driving around France for the last like week. And I guess that was a good enough explanation because they didn't ask me again. Okay. But now they're starting to ask for tests on top of all of that other crap.
Okay.
So I ended up with like a whole folder of papers that's just me signing and saying, I'm not sick.
Good.
Let me go home.
You can take them over to Jesse's house next time. Sorry, Jesse.
Oh God. But yeah, it was quite a fun trip, and I'm like, I feel, despite the fact that I've been a little bit rambly because I'm jet lagged as hell and I only got 4 hours of sleep last night. But it was refreshing. It was refreshing to get out. Yeah, and it's there's a phrase from a book that I really like. That's hold on. I want to get this quote right.
Get to the chopper.
No. No man can claim to be brave who hasn't walked 100 miles until no one knows his name.
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing, but essentially the idea is like you don't really, you get perspective on yourself when you go somewhere where people don't know you. Like you're out of your own bubble, you're with complete strangers, and even more so when you go somewhere where you're not even speaking the native language.
Yeah.
And I always feel like these kinds of trips, they do give me that kind of perspective.
Yeah, you've left your safety castle bubble.
Yeah.
And it's about, okay, how do I actually survive in the real world without all the normal amenities, the normal protective things that I've got around me? Yeah.
Exactly.
And so you went and joined a riot.
I did not join a riot. There were none. There were just skiers. Yeah. Unless you consider traffic a riot, because I would. This fucking, like the way people fucking drive over there. But I was getting used to it by the end. Like there's what would be considered cutting someone off here in the U.S. is just normal traffic, like interactions in France.
Did you have some weed?
No.
No?
Is that legal over there?
Yeah, it is in France. I'm pretty sure it is in France.
It might have been. I couldn't read anything on any of the signs, but no, I didn't. No, I didn't partake. No, I've tried it before in my life, and I'm not a fan.
No,
not my kind of thing.
Well, it's meant to be something that you have like before you go out to a party or something. I think.
Kind of like chill you out.
Yeah, I've known people that have.
To be fair,
it makes me too anxious.
Well, to be fair, I can't actually anymore because I work in pharmaceuticals and we interact with the DEA, and the DEA, it's still illegal on the federal level in the U.S. The states have legalized it, which is a perfect example of how the states can tell the Fed to fuck off. So because the DEA is federal, though, it's still illegal, and so we deal with controlled substances in pharmaceuticals all the time.
Do you have like shops over there that sell it?
Yeah, we do. In my state. There's a giant billboard on the highway that leads into my city that's like, hey, there's a big shop that sells weed over here.
I mean, that's surprising for Boston.
Yeah, we it took us a while. I think we legalized it. Yeah, we legalized it in 2017, and it became widely available in like 2019 or so.
I remember the week that it became legal, the stock prices went like fucking 500% up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah.
Well.
Anyway, yeah, I've been kind of rambling here at the end, but I'm coming off of the traveler's high, and I feel
to the grind.
I'm back in my big comfy chair in front of my computer, and it feels almost surreal. Anyway, but next we are going to be moving on to talking about more Cowboy Bebop and Squid Game. Blue's finished that since I've been gone.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, so look forward to that. In the meantime, this is going to be the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again momentarily for segment 2. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 2, our media segment, and before we get into media proper, we do have two things. We're going to talk about Squid Game and Cowboy Bebop, because Blue's been watching more of both. He's actually finished Squid Game now, so I'm curious to hear his thoughts on the ending.
Both of them.
Oh, you finished both of them? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we can talk about everything. But one last anecdote that I forgot to talk about from my trip, and this was on the way home, and it was a heartwarming tale of, like, somebody doing a good deed and being rewarded for it.
Oh.
I landed at 1 a.m. local time, which was like 7 a.m. French time, so I was like, my body was all kinds of confused. I tried to get an Uber, and it took me like, the Ubers kept going to the wrong spot. Boston, I'm assuming that, like, somebody from the taxi union, like, I don't know, pissed in the coffee of the mayor of Boston, because like Ubers and Lyfts and stuff have a designated area that's extremely hard to get to, which is where they have to be at airports. Only taxis are allowed to pick you up from the terminal itself. And so I was having the worst luck trying to get an Uber to pick me up, and finally, like, there was a guy who was there who was Uber or Lyft or whatever, and he was trying to find his passenger, and he couldn't find that person. And so he was like, yeah, where are you going? And I was like, I'm going to Lowell. And so whatever. That's where I live. And so he put, like, he's like, I'll give you a ride home and just, you either pay me in cash or do Venmo or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, very trusting of him, because I could have just, like, left him high and dry, like, 40 miles from Boston.
Yeah, what's the thing? Gas, brass, or
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that phrase, actually.
Okay, gas, brass, or ass.
I've never heard that phrase before, but I love it. And he was not getting any ass, because I don't swing that way. But no, but I got home and I couldn't get Venmo to work because I've only used it once before, and I don't understand those apps. Also, I'd been awake for 30 hours, so I was kind of like delirious by that point. But I was like, you know what? I couldn't get the app to work. I was going to give him like $70 because it would have cost $55 for an Uber, and then I probably would have tipped them around that amount. But I had cash in the house, so I was like, hold on, I'll go get cash. And so I ran down, opened my condo, looked in the drawer, and I actually had $100 bill, and I was like, you know what? And so I gave him that. I paid the dude $100 in cash, which was like a lot more than he would have gotten for doing like a ride sharing thing. And but I figured it's like it's one good deed deserves another, right? Like,
yeah, that's fair enough.
I was stranded high and dry at like 2:30 in the morning at the airport, and I couldn't get any Ubers to pick me up. And this guy offered to give me a ride, basically on faith that I was going to pay him. And so I was like, you know what? Here you go, dude. Just like I wanted to share that, like, put a little bit of more positivity out there in the world. Is this guy did a good deed, and I did my best to do a good deed in return.
I did something a little bit similar, which we're going to talk about in segment 3.
Okay. Well, without any further ado, this is the media segment, so bring us on and let's talk about some media.
Yeah, so, start with Cowboy Bebop, shall we? Sorry. Beep. First episode that we haven't talked about yet. The Faye's mum.
We're picking up from from episode. I think we're on episode 5 now. Is where we're picking up at. 4 or 5.
We are on episode. So the last one we talked about was. Oh, I'm not sure actually.
I think the last one we talked about was the one about the tree plot line where I was getting more and more angry.
Oh right, no, yes, the first one. Sorry, the first one that I watched was not about Faye's mum. It was the because I remember messaging you and being like, I just found out about Jet's arm.
Oh yeah.
So it starts in a flashback, and most of the episode is in a flashback. And it's Jet back when he was on the Force. He has his partner.
Oh, that at least they kept consistent.
They're on a job, and there's a chase sequence. His partner gets wounded, and Jet chases after the assailant.
Yep.
He gets the assailant into an alleyway, pulls his gun on him, and he's like, okay, give yourself up. And then from the shadows, a mysterious being shoots Jet in the arm, like 4 times.
That's actually pretty consistent with the anime.
But it's so fucking obvious what has happened.
Yeah.
Like, from that, the whole... Anyway, so... there's a prison break in the real time. And Spike and Faye are left to work together as a team to track down as many bounties as they can, and instead they just end up jacking off. Literally just doing nothing because they can't decide on which one to go for, and then she gets Spike to have to do her shower bath shower, as she calls it. It's not worth talking about.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Jet goes after this guy. He calls up his old cop buddy, brings him back in, and he's like, right, this guy's escaped. We need to track him down, and then I can find out what really happened and why I got sent to prison. Because Jet was also framed somehow. I think Jet was thrown off the police force because the criminal acts were also blamed on him back then, even though he got his arm shot to shit.
Yeah, so this is actually pretty consistent with the anime, at least with Jet, the whole Spike and Faith thing. In that episode, I believe they do actually go off trying to hunt people down, but they're not nearly as incompetent as it sounds like they are in the live action. But yeah, I don't know if Jet leaves, but because his partner gets shot or dies or something like that, Jet does get like kicked off the force. He doesn't go to jail or anything like that in the anime, but
yeah, they say that Jet was so they assumed that Jet was the inside man with the criminals.
They had to do that because they race swapped him.
Because they what?
I'm sorry. I should.
Oh my god! Guys, you can't say that.
Hey, they're the ones that did it. For some reason,
like to say, for the sake of the law, that was a joke.
That was a joke. But for some reason, Netflix felt the need to have prison in the backstory of a character that's of a certain persuasion. He didn't have that in the anime. They added that in.
By the way, I was just having a weird shower thought the other day, right?
I'm calling Netflix racist. Anyway, go on.
I was like, you know who would have been the best person to play that character?
Jet? Who?
Yeah, Jet. Sorry. Would have been Sean Connery.
Oh my god.
Spike, we need to get back to the ship, Spike.
Totally inappropriate in terms of, like, casting. Because it's nothing...
Well, no, he looks like the original character. And he would be fucking great.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, because I'm thinking, like, shaved. I'm still thinking of... the most recent thing I saw Sean Connery in was I was watching one of the old James Bond movies. And so, back then he was still a very hairy man.
Miss Valentine.
I see we have a bounty to collect.
That would be so good! Anyway... Back to the thing.
Yeah.
So, Jet is going around with his old partner. He does some really fucking shady shit for being a cop. And
which is... Okay, sorry, I need to interrupt again. Because, again, this is something that they've done, deviated from the anime on. Because he was, like, the straight-laced of the straight-laced in terms of cops in the anime. Like, in fact, that was one of the things that backfired on him. I think they, in the anime, they called him, like, the Black Dog or something like that, because the idea was, like, once he got, like, once he knew something, like, was wrong, like, once he had his teeth into a criminal, he didn't let go. So they've actually changed his character a decent amount in the anime itself, or in the live action.
There's a couple of times where he's with his partner, he's joking, he's like, oh, remember when that guy, fell down the stairs?
Oh, that's not...
where he didn't do it, his partner did it.
Yeah,
but he's, like, laughing about it.
Yeah, and that's
second of all, he pulls the guy's teeth out.
No, okay.
In the... Anyway.
The one thing I was giving the live-action adaptation credit for was Jet. Like, they race-swapped him, which I didn't have a problem with, because the guy they chose at least looked like Jet.
I think he was probably my favorite character in live action.
Yeah. Like, the guy that they chose, like, even though it wasn't, like, it didn't look anything like... It didn't... He had the physical resemblance of Jet. Like, he was a big dude, muscly, bald-headed, kind of got the older look to him.
They got the character right.
Yeah.
More so than the physical appearance.
Yeah. But, yeah, anyway, go on, sorry, I'm just complaining.
So they go to a shipping yard, because, sorry, we've got a lot of episodes to go through, so I'm going to power through it. They get to the shipping yard, they find the criminal again, he's like, wait, but it was, his partner again, like, is there, and he's like, you're the one that betrayed me? The guy, the traitor, shoots Jet like 3 times again, but now Jet's got a metallic arm, so it just pings off. And then Jet just fucking smokes the dude.
It's not fucking Iron Man.
The fucking so Jet thought that the guy that's banging his wife was the one that betrayed him back then. And then that guy magically appears, and he's like, I've been following up on this guy's case for years. But you've fucking shot him now, so that's fine. Walk away and we'll say nothing ever happened.
God damn it.
So he's got like a slightly stronger relationship with the guy that stole his wife.
When you see Jet's backstory in the anime, you're gonna like really appreciate how much they have dumbed him down in terms of a character. Like, he actually had a lot of depth and complexity in the anime, and it sounds like in the live action he's got like, I don't know, a 3-year-old's version of depth, which means he's edgy.
Yeah. So that was that one. The next one was... Oh, okay. That was a really fucking weird one. I wasn't a massive fan of it. Spike's tracking down a bounty. He walks into a shop, and there's like a computer screen that's like got a lady's face on it, and it's talking to him. And he's like, "All right, yeah, I want to see a boss." Basically, he wants to just shoot the boss and take the bounty.
Yeah.
And she leads him through to a room, and there's like a very ominous-looking chair in the middle of the room, and she's like, "Oh, just sit down in the chair," and and then you can meet Dr. Londes as soon as that's done. So he lies down in the chair like a fucking idiot that clearly has like grabby, claspy things on it. And all of a sudden he can't get out of the chair, and his mind is playing like a scenario. So like he's walking around, but he's not actually walking around because he's still in the chair.
Yeah.
He meets the girl that that Vicious is fucking, that he met so long ago and is still in love with, and he keeps being killed in some way and then just repeating. And basically it's an AI trying to take over his body. In the meantime, Jet is getting the ship fixed. And so there's this mechanic lady on board, and she's and Jet's being cheap, basically. He doesn't want to pay for a part. Faye Valentine walks into the room where the engineer is, and the engineer lady fucks her. They straight up have sex. It's not seen, but it cuts back to them later, and they're both naked under a.
Because why wouldn't Faye be a lesbian now?
I guess it's fine.
This is This is one of those... I'm going to just complain again.
Okay.
Everything that I've heard about the live-action Cowboy Bebop so far has been... like, it's just struck me as the laziest writing that I've heard.
It's a bit of fan service, I think.
Is it, though? Like, if they were worried about fan service, they would have cast somebody who actually was appropriately proportioned to play Faye.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think
it's a little. I'm sorry, it's a little late for fan service at this point.
Because I think Faye is a lot more innocent in the live action than she's more like, I don't know, childish innocence, I guess.
Well,
because after that, when she wakes up, she's like, oh my goodness, I've never done this before.
Ugh.
And the engineer lady is like clearly very used to fucking people.
This is something that this is going to harken back to a very early podcast when we were talking about tropes in movies and TV shows. Faye Valentine in the anime is an example of how to do a strong female character right. Faye Valentine in the live action, it sounds like, is how to do like a female lead wrong. Like in the anime, like, yeah, she's there's obviously a bit of fan service in terms of her wardrobe, but it's all like built into the character. She exploits the fact that she's very attractive to take advantage of people, con them, and she uses it in her, like, she's a very confident, like, and assertive woman. Whereas it sounds like in the live action, they've given her insecurities that she didn't need.
So Jet goes off, finds out that Spike's stuck to a chair and he can't take him out. Another random dude is there trying to destroy this AI, and this random dude just knows all about the AI, and Jet just trusts him. even though he's in a room with Spike struck to the chair.
I'm sorry, go on.
And the dude's like, I can't stop the AI from here. You have to destroy its generator, which is on Earth. So Jet goes back to the ship, fires up the engine with it. Goes back to the ship, opens the engine bay door to check on the engineer. Sees just like the two naked women, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on in my engine bay?"
That actually is consistent with Jet's character, at least.
And they're like, "Oh, why did you knock?" I'm like, "It's my engine bay. I'm not gonna knock."
Yep.
That was quite funny.
Yeah, no, that actually, I like that.
And still with the two of them just like that, he's like, "Right, we're going to Earth right now!" Fires up the engine with it, random engineer still on board. They fly to Earth with half an engine, which they're like fixing on the way down, because like the part they have for it doesn't even fucking fit. And it just somehow works, somehow. They like basically crash land on the Earth. They walk into a building, fire a railgun round through what looks like a perspex glass thing, because apparently bullets won't do, or something. And it explodes the generator, and on this distant planet, Spike is released from the chair at 98% download, or whatever it is. And yeah, there's this just big fucking tower of TV screens, which is meant to represent the AI. And
what?
That's
oh my god, they took another plot line from the anime and butchered it. I actually know what episode they're butchering. And it's a really fucking good episode.
Yeah, and it turns out Londes stands for... as an abbreviation for something that makes up basically an AI.
Again, that's... it's a really good episode, and it's haunting. Like, in the anime, it's like a psychological horror episode.
It kind of is here, but I just found it's a bit too tropey.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait till you see the anime version of that episode, because, like, legitimately, when I saw that episode as a kid, like, I had nightmares for like a week. Like, it was haunting.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Like, it was kind of it was more like, in the anime, it's more about psychological horror and existential dread.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they were going for that. It's just they didn't really get
Granted,
it.
when I saw the anime as a kid, when I was like 12 years old, so it may not have the same effect, on adults, but it was a lot less lazy than it wasn't until you talked about the tower of TVs and the AI and the download, I was like, oh my god, I know what episode. Oh,
yep.
God. And I'm going back to my theory from when we talked about this last time. It's some fucking hack writer who watched the original anime, probably knew it pretty well, and was like, I bet I can write a better plot.
That's one thing. One of the episodes, only one of them, they changed the intro music slightly. And I fucking hated it. It was... I think it was not long after you had said that, because you said that to me in a message at some point.
Yeah.
And they changed intro music, and I was like, oh no. Kaiser was right. This guy is trying to improve on it. And he is making it worse.
Bad. Yeah.
Fortunately, that was the only episode that it was on, and then they reverted back to the original. Anyway. Faye's mum turns up. She's like, I want to... What? This is a different episode.
No, it's fine, but she doesn't... Oh, God,
it's not technically Faye's mum. It's the person who stole her identikit as a child and pretended to be her mother.
Right, which is...
And she's like, hey, Faye, I want a lift. So, yeah, just give me a lift. And so she's taken on board of the Bebop, because then she says she'll give the identikit back. And she gives Spike a massage, cures his hangover, and teaches Jet some Taiwanese curry recipe or something so that they like her. Kaiser's face is melting off.
They butchered and mutilated 2 or 3 different episodes to make what you're just describing, and it's... Go on.
I've only described like the first scene.
I know. They took They took 2 or 3 better ideas from several episodes in the anime and then butchered them and made the fucking horror show that you just described. Go on, keep going.
So, they look her up because the interaction between her and Faye is a bit weird, and turns out she has like 40 different criminal records. But she's a criminal, and then suddenly like a transmission comes in from the biggest arms dealer in the system, the Iron Mink, and he's like, "I want the bounty you've got on board. Give me her, or I will just blow the fuck out of you all in a bad way." No.
I'm sorry.
No.
That was inappropriate. Go on.
So, Jet's like, "Fuck all y'all, I'm handing her in. You shouldn't have lied to me to get her on the ship in the first place." He takes her ring off, and it's a location transmitter, so the Mink knows where the criminal is at all times. That's how they knew that she was on the ship. So they take the transmitter, put it on Spike. Spike and Jet go one way. The Faye and her not mum go a different way to try and escape or something. And so the thugs catch up with Spike, and they're like, and Jet. But Jet walks into a shop nearby because he's missing his daughter's basically play that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes into this shop, and he's got basically like VR goggles or whatever the fuck you call it, and he's watching this like performance. So he's basically just sat in the shop. It looks like he's just sat in the shop going kind of like this, right? It's actually really funny. And in the background, through the glass window, you can see Spike beating the crap out of like 10 different mobsters. And he's in his own little world watching this performance. It's very funny. There's the shopkeepers in the shop just like really awkwardly like, should I do something? But Jet's like waving at his daughter, and the shopkeeper's like waving back. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? The performance ends. Meets up with Spike again. Spike's bloodied, but fine. And it turns out that the Iron Mink put a second tracker on the wife, so he wasn't actually following that one anyway, and he finds his... Did I say wife?
You said daughter.
The criminal, whatever.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
So the Mink is after the criminal and tracks the criminal with Faye to the criminal's like lockup, which has all this stolen artwork and a whole bunch of stolen shit. And the criminal's like has a bonding moment with Faye and gives Faye her identikit, and basically all it's got in it is a VHS, which Faye doesn't even know what it is. The Mink comes in and is like, "We've got you now." Holds guns up to them, and then I can't remember what word the criminal uses, says like pineapple or something, and I mean, he's like, the safe word, and shoots his bodyguard. And it turns out
the
it's just
safe word, and then he shoots him.
That's his bodyguard, because
you mean the danger word?
Because it's basically all just an elaborate ERP. And
did I tell you about the time I almost got shot by a live-action role player?
I don't think so.
LARPing.
Oh wait, you talk about... Is that a real story?
Yeah, it's a real story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
tell the story once you finish. Yeah.
And the criminal's like, this is my daughter Faye. And he's like, brilliant, we will have a family together, etc. And ERP steals the ship, which is I think the original ship that Faye always has in the anime.
Oh yeah, it's like a ball in the front with the 2 arms and the grabber claws. Yeah.
She steals that because it's in the lockup.
This actually reminds...
She hasn't had it up until then.
Yeah, because you when you in an earlier episode description, you were talking about how she steals Spike's ship, and I was like, what? Doesn't she have her own? So okay, that makes sense.
But also, previously, the eco-terrorists stole her original ship, and it wasn't the same.
Okay.
Anyway, so she just, flies off, and it's a pretty non-episode. Nothing really happens. Apart from the Savage side of things, he organizes a coup with two other, basically, similar level captains of the...
Did you mean Vicious?
What did I say? Savage.
You said Savage, yeah. It's same, synonyms, but go on.
So he organizes a coup, but his waifu is speaks to one of the people who are going to be in the coup, and she's like, actually, I want you to cut Vicious's head off instead. But Vicious triple plays them. They cut off one of their own people's heads, and then he murders everyone who was in the coup, and the the elders, and the bodyguards all in the room at once. Including his father, who's on the Elder Council. Yeah?
Okay. I was with you to a point. This is actually a plot point in the anime that he murders the council and then, basically takes over the organization. But it's handled in, a 5-minute scene. And he doesn't have to have... He doesn't have a woman there. There is no weird coup. There isn't, his dad on the council or any of this other random bullshit. It's just...
Oh, really?
He just does it because he's fucking vicious. He just decides, I'm the boss now, and so he murders everyone else who was in charge and takes over.
I will say one of the notes I actually, in particular, took for this is at the end of the series was that no one has any respect for Vicious. No one.
Yeah, which honestly
he gets overruled by his wife on multiple occasions.
I called this when you were describing the first part of the series. I was like, Vicious is... I think the exact line I said was, Vicious just took over. He didn't have to ask the missus first. And I think adding a wife or a love interest for him, it was a mistake. And also, giving him all this backstory, he has a dad on the council, that was also a mistake. That
comes up that's a whole episode just coming up.
Okay. He, in the anime, he is this enigmatic character, and that's part of the reason he's so intimidating, is he's kind of this unknowable entity. You don't know what's going on in his head, you don't, he is just presented almost as a force of nature in the anime. And it sounds like they just made him the butt of a fucking cliche in the anime or in the live action. Anyway, sorry. How many episodes are left? I've been interrupting a lot, and we've been going.
Sorry, there's 3, but one of them is I'm gonna breeze through it because it was a pretty crap episode.
Okay, and I'll try not to interrupt as much. So go on.
So the next episode, which is actually where this council coup thing happened, it's very hard for me to line up what happened on the good guys' side and the vicious side because they kind of don't matter.
They're intertwining with each other. They're
completely separate, pretty much. So, Vicious goes to a medical facility, releases a insane murderer dude, and gives him a bunch of red eye. The insane murderer dude fucking hates dogs because when he was being surgically fucked with, there were a bunch of dogs in the room and surgeons. So he's terrified of dogs, but he's insanely powerful, and he's now been given a bunch of red eye. And he's told to go and kill Bebop. Spike. Bebop's ship.
Quick interjection. This is a plot point. This is an episode in the anime that they have butchered. Had nothing to do with Red Eye, and it was cats.
Okay. And I think the reason they changed dogs was because one of those dogs happened to be Ein. That's Kaiser drowning himself in tea. So... the Spike and Jet are coming out of I can't remember what it is. It's a club or something. I don't really remember.
Doesn't matter.
And this guy is in the alleyway, basically. He fights them. He beats the crap out of all of them. Ein just stands there, barks at him once, and he goes rigid with fear. And then they all just run away while they still can. Sorry. They then... Fuck, what do they do? The weird fucking guy goes to his happy place, which is like this creepy ass carnival place, which is called Earthland, I think. He hacks into Ein remotely, just because he can, and looks through Ein's eyes and projects an image of himself through Ein's eyes. None of them.
He's not fucking R2-D2. He's a fucking dog.
This is gonna really annoy you.
Okay, go on.
None of them on the ship knew that Ein was anything more than just a dog before that. And so they're like, that's just been projected from Ein's eyes. Like, what the fuck? We need to go and deal with that guy on the planet because he's going to do something. He's going to hunt them down and kill them all or something. And literally, there's a scene where Valentine's like, so, what the heck is up with Ein, guys? Cut scene. New scene. Ein is sat on the docks off of the ship. They've flown off without Ein. They just straight up leave him on the docks. And they fly to another planet. Spike is meant to be going in as a 3-man team. Jet's got this whole elaborate plan set up, but Spike's like, no, fuck you. Jams the comms so they can't get down to the planet. Spike goes in, fights the dude, finds like a little electric dog toy thing, throws it. The guy gets super freaked out. Spike goes over and engages his grav boots to like a maximum, so he flies way up in the air and then falls and dies. But he also drops like 4, like German hand grenade things, the stick bombs, which is enough to blow up the entire carnival. Jet and Valentine fly down to the planet. They can't find Spike's body because, as Jet somehow knew, he's been taken by someone else before they got there. End scene. End episode.
2 quick comments before you move on. I'll keep them brief, just because I know we have a little bit more to get through. One, I think that the carnival does exist. That whole carnival thing does exist in the anime. I think they executed it better. It sounds like in the live action they were like, oh, we need to blow stuff up. And so they...
everything was explosive in the carnival, which
is completely different. I actually felt like the carnival episode was... Again, the carnival episode was another semi-horror episode. Like, it's creepy as shit. And
it is creepy.
I feel like that's helped by the fact that the way it's resolved in that episode, nothing blows up. There's just this very, very... I don't know how to put it. I don't want to spoil it for you because I like the ending to that episode much more in the anime, but the ending is a lot more subdued than explosions!
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
So, the ship that picks up Spike is paid off, and Spike is delivered to the club owner, the jazz club owner. And Spike's like, how the fuck did I get here? But thanks for saving me. Jet and Valentine have some kind of tracker on him. I don't know. And so they find the club and they walk in, they're like, who the fuck are you? And have guns up at them, and assuming that they stole Spike. And Spike's like, no, these guys are friends. Then Jet gets a call on his phone. And they're like, oh, hang on, no.
Oh, he skipped something. What is it? Ladies and gentlemen, Blue forgot something in this epic, riveting rendition.
The episode before that, just put that on hold. It's a massive flashback to Spike and Vicious back in the Syndicate.
Okay.
And it explains how they were buddies. Vicious was more vicious. Spike was obviously known as Fearless, except it's just kind of a word.
Yeah.
Vicious is seen as incredibly inept and worse than Fearless at everything.
I'm sorry.
Just everything.
Hold on. Do they actually call Spike Fearless? Like, as in, like, that's his mononym?
Yes. Is it not his normal?
No, he didn't need. He was called Spike. He didn't need a fucking mononym.
Yeah, that was his criminal name. Was Fearless.
Oh my god, I'm dying. What the fuck?
So they've been doing jobs for a while. They're a really good team because basically Vicious will stab the shit out of anyone even when they don't need to, and then Fearless will clean everything up and do all the hard work. You're ready to punch the screen, I can tell.
By the way, I'm sitting here like you guys can't see this because it's not on camera, but I've got one of those little like grip strength things, and I'm just squeezing it.
So their boss at the time, because Vicious isn't a leader at that point, is like, okay, your dad is on the council, and he wants you to be a captain soon. And you're going to take my position. So basically, you need to broker a deal with these Neptune guys, I think. So, just do the deal, get a decent percentage, that's all you've got to do. And then he sends Vicious off, and with Fearless / I'm just going to call him Spike, he's like, okay...
Please do. Every time you say
don't
Fearless,
let him fuck this
cringe.
up. Don't let him fuck this up. It's all of our lives on the line for this deal. And so they go in to do the deal, and then you don't actually see what happens in the deal. The next thing you know, Vicious apparently strangled through, like he choked out the mob boss that he was meant to be doing a deal with. He didn't kill him, but yeah, and he was like, these filthy rats don't deserve to be dealing with the syndicate and blah 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 blah. Everyone's super fucking pissed off, and they're like, okay, you gotta fucking fix this. That's when Vicious and Spike, they're sat in the club, and the singer comes on the stage, and they're like, oh my god, she's beautiful. Vicious basically starts going out with her, dating her. They're driving home one night, and they see the leader that he kind of choked but didn't kill, and Vicious brutally murders him. Spike goes home with with Vicious's girlfriend to take her home, and then he fucks her. Which is really fucking out of the blue because they're like best friends for life kind of thing, and Vicious got Spike into the syndicate, but now Spike's just fucking his girlfriend.
Biffles.
And next day, it's like, oh my god, you killed that gang leader. This is going to mean a war between the syndicate and this other gang. The syndicate have put basically hitmen on Vicious, but they want Spike to do it. So Spike goes over to Vicious's manor house and is like, he's gonna kill him, but he's like, no, I'm gonna make this right. Spike goes and single-handedly kills every single gang member from this other gang.
I'm looking around my desk for something to fucking bludgeon myself with.
It's like some John Shitwick. John Shitwick?
No, that's right. No, John Shitwick is what this sounds like.
Where he basically walks into a club with like a spoon and just murders 50 people.
Yeah.
And then
don't get me. It sounds like it's kind of. Wait, question: have the fight scenes gotten any better? Because that was something that you said they were.
It's all done behind glass, like tinted glass, so you can see the silhouettes of him beating the crap out of everyone.
Which is probably better considering how you described the scenes in the early episodes.
It's one big side scroll. So he goes in the building at one end, the camera pans, and he just goes from room to room beating the crap out of everyone.
Okay, go on.
And then he shoots a woman at the end as she's trying to run away. So then he goes to the Vicious's girlfriend's place, and he's like, "We gotta leave. Meet me at this place under the bridge at this time." And Spike goes off to... What's he even do?
I don't know.
He goes off to do something.
I know the episode they're butchering, and it's so much better in the anime.
In the meantime, the Elder, also Vicious's dad, goes to Vicious, who is like drunk and asleep in his apartment, or his mansion, sorry. And he's like, "Congratulations! You killed that entire thing. Everything is alright now." Vicious is like, "Yes, I did that." And then the Elder dad slaps the shit out of him, because he knows he's lying. And he's like, "By the way, your best friend did this, and oh, he also just took your girl. You're a piece of shit, son."
What is with... Okay. This is something that, not only in this series, but this is something that's been pissing me off about, like, a lot of movies that have come out recently, and a lot of, TV shows. What is it with the new trope of emasculating the antagonist? Like, the villain is supposed to be there to, like, challenge the main character and, like, be intimidating and, like, actually present a threat. You showing the guy getting bitch slapped and talked, having little domestic
sounds
disputes.
Like Emperor Sidious, by the way.
Does he actually?
He's like,
well, at least...
Vicious.
Oh.
You are a piece of shit, Vicious. Slap, slap, slap.
You said that, and all I could think was fucking old Daddy Bronte.
Well, like, even as the Elder dad is getting stabbed to death.
Elder dad, in my head, I'm just picturing Granddaddy Bronte from The Life and Suffering. Just
Equestrian, you need to become a lawyer so that you don't bring dishonor to the family.
Anyway, go on.
As the Elder is being stabbed in the previous episode, right? As the dad, he's looking up at Vicious and he's like,
"Who's your daddy?"
You were always a disappointment to me. You will always be a child."
Oh my god.
Just to really rub in the fact that no one has any respect for
I hate how much they ruined that character. I cannot wait till you watch the anime. We're like, when you finish the Netflix series, right?
Yes.
Alright, we're watching the anime when that's our next movie thing. Anyway, go on.
So, Vicious is like, "So Spike just saved my life, but he also took my girlfriend, so he's dead to me." And he intercepts the girlfriend on the way to the bridge and sends her to his house instead. And he goes to the docks himself and is like... Oh, no, wait. He goes to the club, and that's how he finds out where Spike's going. Because Spike went to the club before going to the bridge. And Vicious has, like, the main lady, and then there's the lady who's on the desk.
Yeah, like the receptionist.
I think they're banging. I could be wrong. I think they're lovers.
I'm sorry. I feel like this is a character invented for the live action, but go on.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So the club owner, a good friend of Spike's, and Vicious walks in, beats the crap out of the desk girl, and then goes over to the main lady, and he's like, "You will tell me where he's going, or else." And she says, "Fuck you." So he puts his sword through her leg. And then it's given to believe that she tells him, because she's got a fucking sword through her leg.
I'm sorry. That shouldn't have made me laugh, but it did. Go on.
So Vicious goes to the bridge. He says, "She chose me over you," because obviously he basically kidnapped her back to the mansion.
Because of course we need a fucking, like, B-list sitcom, like, love drama, like, in the middle of just.
And then with about like 4 of his goons, he just machine guns Spike off the edge of the pier. And Spike's floating away downstream. He obviously doesn't die because he's not dead in the future. And that's how the Syndicate works. Anyway, so next episode, which is the final one. Spike, so they're there in the bar,
Sorry,
right?
and just I do want to say we have gone on in this segment for a bit, like we're well over, but the reason I'm not kind of cutting us off and saying like let's move on to the next one is I feel like this is worth talking about. It's something segment. I want to hear the full the full breadth of the depravity that this fucking thing is.
You're gonna actually. There's parts of the last episode which I love, and there's parts I absolutely hate.
Okay.
So they're in the bar.
Yep.
Spike's just been like, so Jet and Valentine are on one side. The bar owner and her assistant are on the other. The bar owner was just like, I'm sorry that I gave you up before, but they did kind of fuck up my leg. And he's like, yeah, no, it's fine, we're cool. Jet gets a call, and he's like, Vicious has got your daughter. Jet looks really fucking pissed off. He walks over to Spike, and then fucking chokeslams him on the bar. He's like, who the fuck were you?
Where are the drugs?
That's when Jet finds out that Spike used to be in the Syndicate. And he is super fucking angry. He ties Spike up, throws him in the back of his car, and he's going over to hand him over in exchange for his daughter. Faye Valentine is like, no, fuck you, that's not how friends work, I'm gonna fuck off. So she does.
I love how they fucking reversed roles.
And
anyway,
what was it normally her handing him over?
Yeah, Faye was always the person that fucked everyone over, and Spike and Jet, despite the fact that, like, even when like their pasts kind of came up and caused issues, they still had like a rough kind of like we're bros kind of relationship, where like they would get pissed off and like, all right, fine, you're on your fucking own, and then begrudgingly they'd be like, I can't let him die.
Yeah. Well, he's really fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
So he meets up with these mobsters in like a random warehouse. Spike's in the boot of the car still, and
by the way, Jet finds out about Spike's history in episode 5 of the anime. 5 out of 26.
Okay, this is episode 10.
Yeah.
I think. So Vicious is standing there with Jet's little girl and a bunch of mobsters, and Jet's like, okay, he's in the boot of the car, and as they're like approaching the car, they got machine guns raised, and Jet's like, now, and Spike magically shoots all of them from inside of the boot of the car, and Jet shoots point blank at Vicious, but it turns out Vicious and his daughter are just like a hologram, shot there.
Oh god!
And so they're not actually there.
They've moved on to ripping off the ending to Breaking Bad. All right.
Then like 20 mobsters appear from all around them, point guns at the Spike and Jet, and they're like, okay, we surrender. So they get taken to a church and tied up. The church. So they're tied up to one of the pillars.
Literally episode 5.
And Jet is like, Vicious is like, is there in person now, and he says, I even had this space left for you, Spike, in the event that you died with my you'd be alongside my family in the crypt. And Vicious is gonna shoot the little girl in front of Jet, and then he's gonna shoot Jet in front of Spike, and then he's gonna kill Spike. Suddenly, the windows shatter, and Faye is outside the windows with her gunship, which just mows down like all of the mobsters. Vicious retreats into the Kaiser's going thermonuclear. Vicious retreats further into the cathedral.
They're butchering one of the best episodes in the anime.
They all get untied somehow, I can't really remember. And they run out the front of the church, and Faye lands the ship. Spike's like, you guys go get back to safety. I've got Vicious to deal with. So it's just Spike. Goes back into the church. He goes up the stairs, shoots a couple more mobsters, and he gets the pinnacle place in front of that big stained glass window, right? The big circular one.
Yep. One of the most iconic scenes from the anime.
Yeah, shittest combat scene ever happens between him and Vicious, where he's literally like deflecting the samurai sword with his pistol. Like the physical, but he's not like shooting the blade or anything. He's like blocking with the pistol.
They do that is actually something they took from the anime, but ironically, it's more believable in that. Which it's presented not as like I'm doing gun fu. It's like an act of desperation. Vicious is coming at him with a sword, and Spike is just like, oh fuck, and just like uses his pistol to like not get stabbed.
The only people in the entire series, I'm just realizing, that get killed by Vicious are Syndicate members. Those are the only people throughout the whole thing. I'm pretty sure. So, they're in the pose, where Vicious is over the top of the samurai sword, down, and then Spike's got the pistol to his head.
Yeah, they had to have that in, because it's one of the most iconic scenes from the anime.
Yeah. And I can't remember how it happens, but Vicious ends up standing over Spike. Spike doesn't have a gun, and he's about to, like, stab him. And then the girl walks in behind Vicious and fucking shoots him in the back.
Mm.
So he's bleeding next to the crypt now.
Oh, you've gotta be fucking kidding me.
And
where's
Spike
my hammer?
stands
I want
up.
to fucking bludgeon myself.
Spike stands up and he talks to the woman. And all up till now, the woman has been like this innocent, good character, right? And she's like, why would I run away with you, Spike? I can own the Syndicate now. And
she finally broke to the glass ceiling.
Well, that's ironic.
The stained glass ceiling.
She's looking at Spike and he's like, oh my god, we finally made up with each other. It turns out that you didn't choose Vicious over me.
Oh god.
And then she shoots Spike out of the glass window.
No! What the
She shoots Spike out. He falls.
Oh my god. It's one of the...
Like, a 50-meter drop onto rocks with water.
It's one of the most iconic scenes in the anime. It's in episode 5. And that is very similar to what happens in the anime. Except, it's not a woman. It's a grenade.
Oh.
It just... I just... Oh my god.
Just like a grenade.
I came in like a wrecking ball. Oh god. Okay, go on.
I can't remember what happens with...
it doesn't fucking
Faye.
matter at this point.
Jet, so Spike meets up with Jet afterwards, and Jet's like, you can just fuck off. I do not like you. Jet gets back on his ship and says, if I ever see you again, Spike, I will kill you. Spike goes off and becomes a drunkard and, like, super depressed. And we'll come back to that in a second. I can't remember what Faye does. I think she goes off to try and find...
Maybe she goes off and bangs the
original
mechanic
family.
again.
She goes off to try and find her original family, because the VHS showed her as a little girl, and she was, like, piecing things together. Jet goes off depressed, Faye fucks off, Spike gets drunk. The woman takes Vicious, doesn't kill him, chains him up in his basement.
I was about to make a joke about an S&M dungeon, and then you confirmed my theory.
Just chains him up in the basement, puts a single bullet in a revolver, spins it, click, when she's pointing at him. He's like super fucking pissed off, as you would be. And she's like, oh, I guess we're lucky today. Puts the gun down, we'll try again tomorrow. Walks off and becomes like the leader of the Syndicate. Finally, Spike emerges from a bar looking like death turned over, and he collapses in an alleyway. And then this hyperactive girl, boy thing, child
goes
over and is like, hey, You're Spike Spiegel! In this exact voice, by the way. You're Spike Spiegel, aren't you? Let's be friends and track down this bounty together. And I
First of all,
just there.
She is, and it is a she. She is a major character in the anime, and she shows up around like episode 10 or 11 or so.
She
doesn't know who they are. She just kind of like leeches onto them. Well, actually, no, I take that back. She does know who they are, and she kind of baits them into, forcing them to take her onto the crew. But she doesn't fangirl it out like that.
Yeah, she just finds him in an alleyway, knows his name, and Ayn is there with her. And that's where it cuts.
And is that the end of the live action?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's probably going to be like a part 2 or stuff. All right.
Yeah, because they left that cliffhanger, so I assume.
This is what I've been sitting on like the entire time, and what I've been waiting to the end to say. This sounds like somebody with like mediocre writing talent got Netflix to greenlight their fan fiction of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Like, they basically took so many... That last episode legitimately made me fucking angry. Like, I kind of, like, played up a little, like, the face palming and stuff like that. Like, okay, some of these things, it's cringy. They did, like, a shittier version. That last one is, like, somebody taking a dump on the fucking Mona Lisa. Like, they took one of the most iconic, like, episodes in anime, period, and just fucking butchered it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I don't... yeah, sorry.
I think someone who's never seen the anime before,
yeah,
I think it is a good series.
Yeah. And...
but, yes, like you said, it is nothing like the...
As a standalone. If this was, like, from what... It follows a lot of very common tropes that you get in movies and TV and stuff, like, when you have gangsters and you have people who are kind of forced to work together. Like, all of those elements are there, and if this was not labeled Cowboy Bebop, it would be probably a decent TV show from the way you described it. Because, they're following all of these very common tropes.
Yeah.
Tried and true tropes. But it's the fact that they... when you see what they did... Like, if somebody did, like, a passable rendition of, like, a classic painting, right? Then, like, if it was just, like, if you just saw it without context, you're like, oh, that's quite good. But then if you saw it compared to the original work, you'd be like, oh, that one is clearly better. Yeah. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Oh, God, I was so fucking... But within context, they're defacing a classic.
I really don't know how they're going to get Spike and Jet back together again.
Well, they've gone, like, a conflict that was, like, a tense, like, 5-minute conversation in one episode has now become, like, this, like, thing that causes a rift between people.
So, Jet, also... Yeah. When they get out, the girl is returned to her mother and stepfather, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
And they don't even talk to Jet. Jet is clearly in the doghouse. So, the summary for Jet is that he loses his best friend, and I'm assuming he's never allowed to see his daughter again.
He doesn't even have a fucking kid in the anime. He has a tragic love story in his background, and
it ends tragically. It's so tragic for Jet and Spike.
No, I'm God, I can't wait to till you actually see the anime and see like the original. It's one of those things where like you're saying like this is a good series, and you're right. If again in absentia, having not seen the anime in its full anime-ness. I don't know what word I was looking for there. It sounds like it's a passable, like, decent series. Yeah. But when you see the originals that they're butchering to make the amalgamation that you've been watching, you will be impressed, I think. Also,
I think you just need to see the last episode, honestly.
We're actually a half hour over, but I wanted to go through the whole series. Yeah. And I know we wanted to talk about Squid Game. So
leave it for another time.
We'll save it for another time. We'll talk about the ending of that, and we're gonna end segment 2 here, and then move on to segment 3. This is gonna be another long podcast.
Yeah,
but long for a reason. I wanted to get through that entire series.
I just saw the time. This is the longest segment we've ever done.
This is the longest. Like, normally, when I say we're over by like 10 minutes, 20 minutes at most. We're over by a half hour.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, this is going to be the end of segment 2 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again momentarily for segment 3. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 3, our wildcard segment, and Blue did have a new game, but we're not going to be doing that. Blue's actually got additional topics. We're in topic overflow, like we've done a couple times.
No, we're in topics, because we didn't have topics on the first one.
Well, we had one topic. It was France.
Yes, that's true. It was one big topic.
All right, what do you have for me?
So, we're going to start off on something that you'll enjoy. You're saying you need to pick me up.
Yeah. Well, exactly. After that last segment, I need something that's not going to make me furious.
Yeah. So, as everyone in the known universe knows at this point, you've got 100% achievements on Into the Breach.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm quite proud of. But
I am.
Actually, you don't.
Did they add new ones?
There is a new achievement.
All right. What is it?
Not on the official Steam page, but it is my achievement that only I can bestow upon thee, which you have to earn still.
Alright, so I need to go back and play Into the Breach is what you're telling me. What do I need to do?
Someone has made a mod for Into the Breach, allowing you to play versus mode with another player.
Oh, shit.
Meaning I could play as the Vec, and you have to defeat me.
That'd be fucking easy.
Yeah?
Challenge accepted.
You reckon?
Challenge accepted. Let's do this.
Artillerying the shit out of your infrastructure, destroying your power grid.
Yeah, I imagine it would be significantly harder if the Vec was actively trying to take out the infrastructure.
Yeah, and I even get control of the bosses.
Yeah, I could see this being a lot trickier. So I imagine in that kind of a scenario that the people who can manipulate movement and like reposition the Vec, they're going to be a lot more overpowered because you're going to have intent, and they're going to be the ones that are. Yeah.
And I'm going to know what your machines do.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be moving around randomly. I'm going to be purposefully. It's going to be like a game of chess.
Yeah. Which again. My kind of game. I enjoy chess.
And you will win most of the matches, don't get me wrong, but I will grind you down. And by the time you get to like I reckon the toxic area, you're going to be fucked.
Attrition.
Yeah.
I'm definitely up for this.
I'm hyped to do some of that against you.
Yeah, and we'll probably record it, so...
Yeah, so look forward to that. I think it's... They weren't able to make it a online multiplayer thing, so I might have to tell you where I want you to put things.
Or it'll be like remote play. Maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. Well, because the main game won't have that, I don't think I'll be able to.
But to be fair, I mean, you do that with like there are some chess games like that have to be done like that. I move knight to d4.
Yeah, we'll find a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that looked fucking awesome because we both love that game. We both played the shit out of it.
Yeah.
You've played a lot more of it than I have, but holy crap. Yeah. Also, I'm eager to see which set of robots you choose.
Yeah, I might have to do like a custom squad to try and find the right balance of things.
The person I was watching was doing the what was it? The guy, the robot that has the electro whips.
Oh yeah. I know the squad you're talking about. The yellow ones.
And then, and the second one, because they switched around places afterwards. The second person went for the dust cloud guys, the one that has the jet.
That,
and the push
literally, when I was trying to like think of what team I would use in my head, that jet.
I love that team.
That jet is like they're actually I think the first team that I beat the game on hard with.
Right.
Like they're quite good.
They're a lot of fun, aren't they? Yeah.
Especially the jet, when you upgrade it, you can put down 2 dust clouds while bombarding people.
True, but with the jet, you need to have space either side, and I will know that.
Yeah.
So I'll be putting my guy in corners.
Yeah, this is Into the Breach, for those that don't know, is a grid-based game where you're trying to protect buildings, kill monsters, and
complete objectives.
Yeah, it's all about like positioning, basically.
It's by the creators of Faster Than Light. And I think that the best way to probably describe it would be if Pacific Rim had a baby with chess.
Yeah, that's actually, that's pretty good.
It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend. I don't think it's that expensive either. I think it's pretty cheap.
Even when it was brand new, it was only like $20 or $30.
Yeah, because we picked it up, or at least I did, I think in the first week or something.
Yeah, I got it maybe a year or so later, but
right.
Yeah, loved the game. I mean, considering how much time I put into Faster Than Light, this developer really does know their shit. Like, they've got a very specific genre, and that genre is that 2D strategy. And FTL has it. This game has it. Quite good. Anyway.
So super hyped for that. But I was watching that on the Yogscast live streams they're happening at the moment, because they have their annual charity live stream they do every year. I think they're at about 2 million so far at the moment.
You know, the charity live stream that I really like, I get turned on to this by Jesse. It's the Games Done Quick live streams. They do a summer one and a winter one. They've been kind of like lacking in recent years. Some of the older ones from like 2018, 2019, they were really good. But they kind of like started cracking down on what people could and couldn't do at them.
Hang on. Is this because there's two events. I can't remember which one this is. This is either I think this is the speedrunning one, right?
Yeah, it's a speedrunning thing. Yeah, okay. GDQ is the acronym for them. But
there's also another one where game developers have a limited amount of time to make a game.
Yeah. I've seen that.
That's also quite interesting.
Actually, this is something. So back in college, one thing I did a couple times, and then after college as well, I was never like a big person to go to conventions, but I had a lot of friends that enjoyed going to anime conventions. Anime fan. I decided that like I'd go to a few of them, and I've got fun stories from those. But they did. There was an event that I really enjoyed watching called Iron Editor. And they would essentially have like 30 minutes or something like that with set assets, and they would have to make an AMV, an anime music video, in like 30 minutes. And they'd have to chop up whatever assets they were given, use whatever music they had, and then make something. And like I loved watching that sort of stuff. So watching the same sort of thing but with development, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I saw the Faster Than Into the Breach.
Yeah,
people playing. But I also got the charity bundle this year. So that's I donated £35.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you donate a certain amount of money, and then you get a whole bunch of free games which have they've signed up to be in this bundle, so you can get their games. So I got, what was it? I think about 55 games for £35.
Because you sent me one of the links.
Did I?
Yeah, one of the keys. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see. So I did have a couple of duplicates. So I put 2 of them in the Hive immediately, and then I sent one to Kaiser because I didn't know if he wanted it first. Dibs. And the cumulative total for all of those games, the cost is, I'll put it in dollars for you, is just shy of $900 worth of games. And so I've got this. I've got lots to play at the moment over Christmas.
Yeah, this is one of those amazing things about charities. Now, I shouldn't say. I probably put that more facetiously than I meant to, but like by these companies donating their games, that's a tax write-off. Like if your game costs like $50 and you technically give away like 100 digital copies of it, you've donated $5,000, and so that becomes a tax write-off. Which little bit.
It's all for a good cause, so
it is, and that's what I mean when I said I'm probably saying this facetiously, and I don't mean to. I think that giving tax breaks to people who donate to charity is one of the best government policies I think that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Because it essentially it gives rich people an incentive, and companies, not just rich people, but companies and rich people, an incentive to give back to the community. It rewards them for being good people, and I think that's an amazing thing. So if you can give away a few copies of your game and you're helping people out and stuff like that, great.
So I've been playing several of the games. There is one in particular I was wanting to talk about, and I think you will hate it, but it's very wholesome. And I don't even...
Is that why I'll hate it? Because it's very wholesome?
I don't even feel right calling it a game, because I don't think it's a game. I think it's more like an application or a program.
Yeah.
Because it's not really something that you go on to have fun. It's something called Kind Words. And have you heard of this?
No, I haven't, but I've there's a game that I got on Steam that I do need to finish that has a similar premise, I think, but go on.
I doubt it, because it's not something that you finish, really. So what happens is you log in and you're like a little guy in a room, and it's something for if you're having kind of a tough time, if you're wanting to ask someone something, but it's kind of too personal, you're too embarrassed to ask someone in real life, right? So you write it in a 7-line max letter on this thing, you send it off, and a bunch of people can then send responses. This is why I said you'd hate it, alright? I know this is
I would love it, but I would troll the shit out of people in that game.
I think they must have a pretty strong reporting system, because I played it for several hours and I never saw a super trolly thing.
Oh, that would be half the fun for me. I want to play a version of this game that's completely uncensored. I want to write it just, I had a rough day at work today and I feel like people don't appreciate me, and then I get a letter back that says it's fuck you. And it's not for I think it's kind of not a thing for kids, because there are some people who are on there who are yeah, I'm depressed and I feel like life has no meaning and da 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 da.
Yeah, other people who are relationship stuff.
Yeah. My wife is banging the gardener.
I haven't seen that yet, but yeah, that kind of thing. Just problems that, and some people put their ages in the letters, even though you're not meant to put any kind of identifying factors in there.
Yeah.
And they tend to be around, I think the lowest I saw was 18-year-old.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I do appreciate the concept, and this is something that you see a lot more now with these sort of online help and support groups. People are having fewer and fewer real connections, and so this is something that I think it's a positive thing. It's a positive thing that represents a negative trend, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that it's negative that people don't feel like they can have these sorts of conversations with people in their real life, and they have to go onto this game and type them out to random strangers. But I think it's a positive thing that a game like this exists to give those people support.
Well, one of the things that I thought was both a blessing and a curse is that so you, let's say I pick up someone's letter and it says, they've had, that's the example you gave, they're having a really tough time at work, they don't like their job,
but
they still feel the need to keep doing it, and you respond to it with, I don't know, you say something nice or something that might be helpful to them. They receive that, and then they can't send a letter back, and you can't message them another message. The only response they can have is they can send a thank you, and there's like stickers in the game.
Yeah, like an emoji of some kind, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that.
An emoji equivalent, let's say.
So you don't see their name, and you only get one chance to talk to them.
Yeah.
So there's no back and forth. Which is kind of like, okay, I kind of want to know what happens afterwards. Whether they actually found that helpful, or whether I missed the mark, or if I...
So...
like, I don't know. But at the same time, I appreciate, for anonymity's sake,
that you
perfect.
Can't. Yeah, and you can't have, like, persistent contact with somebody.
Yeah.
But what your reaction there... like, that's a very human reaction, because if you see, if you read someone's, like, very personal story, like, this is shit going on in my life, the natural human reaction, if you have been asked to empathize with this person, is after you say something kind to them, you're like, well, you want to know if they're all right. Like, did I help them? Like, you know, are they still having... That's a natural human reaction. Like, if you know, like, it's the way that, like, in a small town, you know Bob from the barber shop, he's, like, you know, he's had a rough go of it lately, you know, he's on the outs with the wife, his work isn't fulfilling, and you say something kind to him, in real life, you would be, you know, talking to him, like, you know, a week later, hey, you know, Bob, how's it going? Like, have things gotten better?
Yeah,
like,
up.
So, what you're saying there, yeah, it's a very natural thing to feel. God, considering, like, before you described the game I was thinking of equating this one to, just from the title of the game, is so different. The game I was thinking of was called Unread Messages, which is a single-player game, a single-player story-paced game about somebody who committed suicide, and all of their social media people are trying to get in contact with them again. Like, it's...
I think I've seen someone play that. I could be wrong.
I got it at one point because I was thinking of, like, doing a playthrough of it on the YouTube channel, and it was so depressing. I was like, this is not fair. Like, I enjoyed it, but I enjoy a depressing story.
Yeah.
I like tragedies.
Well,
sorry, you've got more?
After I responded to a few requests, I decided to put a couple things out myself.
Oh, okay.
And don't get me wrong, like, 80% of the requests that you see are people who actively need help.
Yeah.
And I will always pass on ones where I think I had nothing to apply to the conversation. Yeah, you can skip as many as you want.
But I do want to say this real quick, and I feel like it needs to be said because this is going out onto the internet. If you're one of these people, like, it's great if this is something that you need for support, but if you're one of those people that, like, needs immediate help, like, you're feeling suicidal, anything like that, yeah, don't use an app like this, don't use a game like this, actually go talk to somebody. Like, call a hotline or something like that.
Well, some of the messages that you read do say, should I go and seek help?
Yeah.
And whenever they're asking that, you should always really say, yeah.
Yeah.
If you think that you need help, you should seek help.
Yeah, if you're in the kind of situation where you're, like, you're having those kinds of thoughts, and you're in that kind of deep well of depression, as it were.
Yeah.
Like, that, if you're having that sort of an existential question pop into your head, you should probably get help. And, you know, I know sorry. My sarcasm is hardwired into my brain, and even when I'm saying something sincere, I just can't help but have jokes pop into my head, but I'm not going to say them. Go on.
That's fair enough. Okay, so yes, I put a few out there, but like I said, 80% of them are people who need help. I'd say about 10% of them are people who are just putting interesting questions out there and people are responding to them. That's where I fall in. And then, like, 10% of them are people saying stupid shit, like, did you see the latest anime episode of this anime? Mind blown.
A like, equals D.
So, I put 3 questions out there. Some of them were more deep than others. The first one I put out was... let me just sort by requests. Hi there, I said. Writing to hear people's thoughts on negativity in competitive gaming. If you've played games like CSGO or League of Legends, I'm sure you know how heated messages can get, and I'm curious as to how others handle said situations.
Okay.
I had 3 responses to this, if you'd like to hear them.
I'd love to hear them. But I'm about to sneeze.
So...
Nope, it went away. Go on.
Okay, good. Someone said, CSGO and League are naturally toxic games because they're competitive. I've played both and wanted to immediately quit because it's not fun.
Oh.
People handle these situations by muting the toxic people or even just stopping playing the game. That was the worst response in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they're basically just saying, don't play the game.
Yeah. That's somebody who doesn't really like competition.
Yeah, but the other 2 were a bit better. Someone says, hey B, hardcore CSGO player here. And I was like, ooh.
Oh yeah. did they sign the letter Suka Blyat?
They say, I hear heated conversations and see heated messaging all the time. My friends usually either get mad back or like to make jokes.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's the healthy way to respond.
They oftentimes make jokes and will poke fun at themselves and others, which either gets people laughing or to be quiet. I found poking fun and joking around usually helps with negativity in competitive games. Not all the time, but most of the time it does. I thought that was a really good response.
Yeah.
And I agree with it.
That's my method right there. Like, I used to play League a lot. And, typically it was the same thing. Like, sometimes, I'd be baited into an argument, but most of the time I was just like, let's have some fun with them. Or, laugh it off.
And the final one I got response to that was another good one, I think. I'll have to be honest off the bat and say that in games like CSGO or COD, I've had my fair share of toxic-ass moments on the microphone. It almost wouldn't be the same without it,
Agree with that.
Oftentimes, when I'm playing solo, I handle it really badly. I get upset really, really quick, and I'll rage quit or smack my desk. Dramatic, I know, but save me the judgment.
Sorry, finish. No, I have a story to tell.
Okay. When with friends, I find it much more bearable, and usually funny as fuck. I've always loved hopping on mic to talk shit to toxic players with my buddies. Put them in their place, eh? Good luck, smiley face.
Yeah, like, there are times you get heated. I definitely do handle... Thinking back to when I played, like, League a lot more, playing solo, I did handle it a lot worse. When I was playing with friends, it was easier because you have other people to talk to, and you can kind of just go like, "Oh, look at this asshole," whatever, and you just like say something funny or laugh at each other, and it's fine. Probably the peak rage moment that I had was I actually punched a keyboard in half.
Jeebus.
It was
everyone has their occasional rage moments. I've never broken anything. But.
It was a Razer keyboard, and I was so fucking furious. I did like this fucking haymaker into the keyboard, and I snapped it in half. I skinned my knuckles too doing that. But that's probably
was a good reminder of not to do that next time.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably the worst it's ever been.
Yeah.
Like but no, your question's legit. Like, those games do get heated, and there's healthy ways.
It's all right to be toxic sometimes. Just don't go too far with it.
Yeah. Like, you don't.
Everyone's gonna have their bad days.
Exactly. Everyone's gonna have a bad day. Everyone's gonna, somebody's gonna get under your skin, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, fuck you!" And sometimes, that sort of like shit talking, it's cathartic.
And it brings up another good point. Playing with friends is always going to be more fun.
Yeah.
So if you're on the edge about it, just wait until friends playing and then do it with them.
Yeah.
The next request. Heya. Curious to find some of the best events from stories which really stuck out for you. And then another line. Defo not looking for D&D campaign inspiration right now, winky face.
Okay.
So, first response was a great one. They said, lol, I'm a DM too. I like to pull from classic literature or surrealist books for story inspiration. Here's a few great campaign building books that are just fun to read too. And he lists Beowulf, Gawain, and the Green Knight.
Those, oh god, both of those are... Gawain is a great story for D&D.
Old Folklore, and he says, in brackets, check original Grimm fairy tales and the Pantheon collection for other cultures' stories.
I would highly recommend reading Grimm in the original German.
Then surrealist-ish books, The Starless Sea, or anything by Haruki Murakami. Happy campaign building.
I know Murakami. Awesome. Yeah, I've done that as well. Like the the whole caravan thing. Like a lot of the ideas for characters and stuff from that is stuff I pulled from Greek literature. Histories by Herodotus specifically.
So I thought really good. If you're looking for inspiration, this is another good thing to pull inspiration from.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. That's legit.
Someone else said in big capital letters, spoilers for the movie Arrival / the book. Go watch / read it first if you can. And he says, okay, so
I hated
this
that
is a
movie.
story. Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a story about a linguist who is tasked with deciphering an alien language.
Sorry, actually, I should clarify. I've seen the movie twice on planes, both times.
Okay. I've never heard of it.
It's a good movie. How do I put it? It's a good concept with a crap plot.
Okay.
So like the actual like concept of it is somebody trying to interpret a language that is so utterly alien to them. That's a great concept.
So I finished the thing.
Yeah.
He does kind of explain this.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. So this is a story about a linguist who is tasked with deciphering an alien language. Towards the end of the story, it's revealed that understanding the language itself alters how you perceive reality, specifically time. The language turns out to be a gift from aliens. Now humanity experiences all of time at once. It blew my mind when I first saw it. It was so satisfying and recontextualized the whole story.
Yeah, I don't know about the book that it's based on, but the movie kind of gets caught up its own ass. Like, it ends up getting like a bit pretentious near the end. But the concept itself, like that person described, very good. And it's definitely an enjoyable watch. I just wasn't satisfied with the ending.
I just got a new one as well I haven't read before. Let me just quickly... okay, it looks safe.
He's got to do a little screening.
Not an event by any means, but I remember telling a D&D story which was prehistoric by nature. Nothing original. I even had elements from basic prehistoric stuff. Fantasy stuff. So it's kind of anachronistic. It was kind of anachronistic. The twist? Players couldn't communicate with words. They all had different coloured cards that they should show each other. That they could show each other. The enemies were printed out.
I just got an
so
idea
they
for
could
sorry,
show which one to attack. I directed them with, if you want to go to the village on the left, show me the red card, if not the blue, etc. That sounds like it would make a D&D campaign a lot harder.
Yeah, so there was a there was a rule that when Jesse was in high school, he was telling us about a D&D group that he was a participant in. And they had a rule that anything you said out loud was being said by your character. And you had to make a specific like hand motion to indicate that you're talking out of character.
I literally... So, a couple of days ago, as you know, I did a D&D session. And it was after this pretty gruesome battle. And one of the party members was like, well, that guard that died, they were pretty shit, to be fair. One of the other guards immediately turned around and punched her in the face for 3 damage. Like, you don't say that shit after that happens. So, were you writing something down or something?
That description, it gave me an idea for a D&D side quest. I was just
brilliant.
I was noting it down before I forgot.
I see.
I know. Unprofessional. We're in the middle of the podcast, and I'm writing down D&D side quests.
That's fine. The last one I did was this is kind of just to give you an idea of the kind of questions you can ask.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, Christmas is of course coming up, and I want to bake some gifts for friends and family. Anyone got any homemade snacky favourites, sweet or savoury? Stay awesome. Smiley face. Someone sent a slightly odd message, which, I don't know. I guess it makes sense to someone. They say, I love French Christmas. It's super good. I also love good classic sugar cookies, and meringues are a staple in my household, lol. There's a really good recipe for them on eggs.ca.
Oh, they're
Canadian. A nice little one.
Yeah, no, they're Canadian, so I guess you can forgive them.
Someone else had a very short response. They said candied pecans, snickerdoodles, or the classic chocolate chip cookie. I don't know what snickerdoodle is. I've heard of them.
Really?
They're an American thing.
Yeah, they are an American thing. They're a Midwestern thing in particular. My mother makes them.
Candied pecans do sound good, though.
Mm. You say pecans?
Huh? Pecans.
Yeah, okay. We pronounce it pecan.
Well, yeah, you say like pecan pie, don't you? It's weird.
Yeah.
Just had another new one. It's not super Christmassy. Sorry. Is that spelled right? This looks wrong. It's not super Christmassy, though I had Graham crackers, sorry.
Graham.
Again, not an English thing.
Okay.
Peanut butter, just on its own. Oh, maybe this is all one thing.
Yeah, all put together. Yeah, graham crackers they're a fairly common kind of sweet cracker that we have here.
Gotcha. Peanut butter, sliced bananas, and cinnamon to top it off all together as a kid. It's super yummy.
It sounds like it tastes pretty good.
And I highly suggest trying it out if you've not. I hope your holiday season and life goes super well. Thanks for being on Earth. Heart. Very wholesome.
Yeah, you were right that this is not my kind of a game.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Game in massive quotation marks.
Yeah.
I would be way, way, way too tempted to troll the shit out of it.
That's the thing. Before I played the game, I looked at the reviews for it. Overwhelmingly positive on overall and on recent, which is rare.
It is very rare, on Steam.
And I was like, okay, how many negative comments are there? It was like 1 in 10 comments were negative.
Well, even
that's fucking rare.
Even if it's not like my kind of a thing, like I wouldn't. I think that the fact that this program exists is a net positive for the world. But that being said, I know the kind of person I am, and that's
why I said I thought you wouldn't like it. But honestly, the fact that you can see the positive side of it is great, I think.
Yeah. Like, just because I know that I would troll the shit out of it doesn't mean that I don't see it as a good thing.
And also, every time someone thanks you, or you answer someone's query, I think you get like a new sticker, and there's a big sticker book, and they are really cute, I will say. That is the game part of it. It's kind of a gotta catch them all kind of thing.
Gotta catch all the positivity.
But with adorable stickers, which who doesn't like stickers?
Me, actually.
I don't like real life stickers. I like in-game stickers because they don't, get that crappy glue shit everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, that was that game. I thought it was really interesting.
That was very wholesome.
And Kaiser, if you come up with a request, we can put it in and we'll see podcast, see what response there is next time. If you do don't look at me with that face. You stay wholesome now. This is a very wholesome subject. We're talking about charity and people's feelings.
I know, but you asked me to think of a question, and my brain immediately went to somewhere horribly inappropriate.
Well, if you do come up with one, we can check back in.
I'll endeavor to try and think of something a little bit more...
Might be fun.
Yeah, appropriate than what I just thought of. Anyway, I think... Do you have anything else to talk about? We're actually... This segment, we've actually stayed on time, but for the whole podcast, we're at about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I think that those are the two main games that I was going to talk about.
All right, and well, in that case, people can look forward to seeing the video of me reacting to Cowboy Bebop to see if I get quite as angry as I did during the podcast. Oh my god. All right. Yeah, this is going to be the end of episode 71 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again next week.
Spike Spiegel.